Today I'm going to have a go at creating a vector portrait in the iPad version of Adobe Illustrator. So if you didn't see my previous video on Adobe Illustrator for the iPad, I will leave that linked on screen and in the description. In that video, I basically quickly walk through everything, get a feel for it, and give my honest feedback and opinions. And the overwhelming response from you guys on that video was that you wanted me to draw something with Adobe Illustrator on the iPad. So I actually am going to attempt to do a vector portrait. I actually haven't done one of these for a long time, even on regular Illustrator, so might be a little bit rusty, but we're just gonna go through it. As you can see on my screen, I have an image. This is the lovely Sophie Foster. I will leave all of her links in the description. She has given me permission to use her image. And what we're gonna do is attempt to reproduce this digitally. So I have had a little sneaky play around with the tools on here, and I started outlining things and then I figured I might as well film it. So I've deleted everything that I did. I literally didn't even get into colouring or anything, but I have found some hurdles so far. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. But yeah, let's just dive straight in. Firstly, I actually want to create a new layer, so I'm drawing the vector parts on a separate layer. Now, when I drew this before, I was using the pen tool, but I think I'm going to go with the pencil tool. First job actually is to lower the opacity of the image, just so I can see my own drawings on it a little bit easier. Usually I go with the eyes first. If you've seen any of my previous portrait videos, I don't know why, I just always start with the eyes. The one thing that I noticed winds me up about this so far is that I cannot rotate the image. So usually in Procreate I would like twist the image, so as I'm moving around I don't have to like spin my actual iPad. Illustrator isn't doing that, and I feel like that's such an easy thing for Adobe to change, so hopefully with feedback someone else has also thought the same thing, and they will change that. So first job first, I'm going to draw the eyeliner. So at the moment it is on just white fill, so I'm going to flip it round so it's on white stroke just so I can see what I'm doing, and then I'm just going to freehand it across. This already is super different to using the pen tool because I'm literally just drawing. Then generally the next thing I do is this crease above the eye, like the eyelid crease thing. That was rubbishly drawn. Rubbishly is not a word. This is where spinning my iPad round would help, because I want to be like this, but I can't spin the photo, and I don't really want to spin the iPad because then I'll probably make you dizzy. Just move my entire body. I'll draw that again in a second. I stumbled across an issue when I got to this point, because usually I change the properties of the stroke, but I can't for the life of me figure out where that option is. Like, this is the stroke colour, it's currently on white. I can only change the colour in here. I can't change what it looks like. So then do I go in here? Then I can only change the anchor points. And there aren't any options in here for me to change how the stroke looks. I want it to have like a tapered end. I've been down this menu a lot and I can't find a way of changing the stroke properties. Please, if you're watching this and you know the solution, let me know. So this is where I'm gonna have to do things differently. I'm gonna use the blob brush tool. So again, under the pencil tool, and I'm presuming because this brush has different options, I can just play around with it like that. I guess I can use the eraser too. There are different settings for the blob brush, so just gonna have to give it a go, aren't I really? Whoa, that's massive. Hang on. Change the size a lot. See, that's not, is that smooth? Sort of, that's kind of working. I can up the smoothness. Pressure dynamics, that changes how fat or thin it gets, depending on how much pressure I put on my pen or pencil. I guess that's gonna have to do. That's not how I usually do it, that's what's throwing me off, but change is good, change is fine. I guess I can use this tool to fill in for the other eyeliner. See, I feel like this is a lot harder to use than the pencil tool. It's harder for me to get a smooth line. Maybe if I up the smoothness a little bit, will that overcompensate too much? You know what? That's not terrible. I think I'm gonna have to spin my iPad round. I'm so sorry. I can't work at these angles. Adobe, if by some weird miracle you're watching this video, please consider adding the ability to spin the whole piece of artwork around, like the whole artboard. So if I colour this in, at this point it's kind of just like colouring normally, I guess. This is going to turn out so different to normal. Then the eyebrows is generally what I do next. Oh, I'm so tempted to spin everything, it's really difficult. In fact, I think I'm going to go back to the pencil tool. I feel like I prefer that tool a lot more. So if I just do that, like that, maybe a little bit thicker. Like that. I'm deleting it, but I keep forgetting that I can literally move the anchor points. That is a perk of having it on my iPad. And over Procreate, I can instantly just move the anchor points. Let's join this. Ooh, go back to the pencil tool. Let's join this together. Is that just going to join it for me? See, that's just created a whole new shape. I want it all to join together with that one underneath. Now, how do I do that? How do I join them together? I think there was options up here, wasn't there? Here. Join path. Did that work? Are you now all one thing? If I just click off it and back on, is that going to select everything? Okay, cool. That's solved that one. Right, so back to the pencil tool. Let's spin the iPad around again. This is going to wind me up. And let's do this eyebrow. This nose bit isn't going to plan. Maybe if I use a blob brush for this one. Cool. Okay, so far I feel like it isn't as fluid as I'm used to, but I feel like that's just down to the fact. That I've not used this software before. This thing about the stroke weight is really winding me up. I feel like it could be really obvious and I'm missing it, and there's probably people watching this that are like screaming at me because it's somewhere really obvious. Either that or Adobe have definitely missed a trick and it's not just me that's finding this frustrating. So I am going to continue outlining things and then I'll get back to you when it comes to adding some colour. I've just done a little trick. It's not a trick, but I thought it was quite cool, so I thought I would show you. So I've just drawn, is this the iris? Every time I do these videos I forget what it's called. The coloured part of the eyeball. Is that the iris or is that the black part? Wow. And to think I got an A in science at school. Anyway, I have got the circle tool selected and I want to draw a perfect circle, and if I click and hold this little circle thing here, ooh, it'll zoom me in, which I didn't want it to do. If I click and hold and then draw a circle, it will constrain it so it's perfectly circle. So I did that, then I moved it over to the eye. I'm going to flick it back over to stroke so I can see what I'm doing. Then so that the circle the pupil, I'm sure it's the pupil, so that the pupil is directly in the center, what I did was went up to here into the scissors, I'm copying it, and then I'm pasting it, and it's pasted it directly on top. So now it's got two larger circles directly on top of each other. So I want to resize it but keep it exactly centered. So to do this, I can just click and hold this circle, but actually drag my finger to the outside. Can you see it's like selected the outer circle? Then if I use the bounding box here, it will not only keep it perfectly circle, but it's also resizing it within the center, rather than if I didn't go on the outside, it would resize it like that. So I want it roughly like that. I'm going to flick it to fill rather than stroke, and there I have my iris and pupil. At the moment I've outlined the block hair. What I like to do is do it in block shades, so I'm thinking of definite colours at the moment. So there's the skin tone, we've got the hair, we've got the jumper, we've got each feature on the face, and then obviously there's like the shadow of the hair where it's a bit of a different colour. And there are overlapping points, but I'm thinking of it of different layers. So if I were to fill in this black area here with the darker shade, go on to flip it to fill, and then change the fill colour to, let's go to the colour wheel and the colour picker, and I'll pick up a grey black shade from the actual jumper itself. You can see that the jumper is actually in front of these lines for the hair, but all I need to do is rearrange the order. So that's where this button comes in handy. So if I drag backwards and forwards, you'll see that it's hiding either behind or in front. So at the moment we want it right at the back. So let's select the hair, the pink hair, and I want to select both bits for now. So I've held shift, selected them. I really like this little option here. And then the flip to fill selection, and then I'm going to change the colour with the eyedropper, although I probably should have hang on, let me flip it back. I can't see what I'm doing. Let's eyedropper it like this. So I'm just going to pick up what the colour, so I'm just picking up firstly a colour out of the hair that is the majority of the hair colour. So most of this hair is pink, and then I'm going to go back in a bit and add the different darker shades for the roots and stuff, and shadows and highlights. But for now I'm just going to colour it full block pink. Then we've got the skin tone, so click the face. I'm going to do the neck a little bit darker, so I'll do that separately. So now we want that face layer to be behind the eyes, behind the nose. As you can see, the pupils are in front, but not the whole thing. So if I click the stacking order thing and drag, it'll let me move various elements to the back. Then I'm going to select the neck. I mean, definitely not the right shade, but we'll leave it at that for now. So I'm going to go to the stacking tool again, and I'm just going to change the order. So I want that neck bit to be behind the face part. Okay, so we've got a couple of the block colours. Let's pick up the colour for the jumper at the bottom. So that is that. I don't know why I chose this photo, because drawing hands is hard at the best of times, never mind doing it in a different software, but we'll get to that, So I'm actually going to fill in, in fact I've missed this bit. So this bit here was a little add-on. I realised that I might make the jumper sort of go up her neck a little bit. I'm now going to go and do this area behind the hair. So I'm going to use the pencil tool, and I'm just going to literally block out the back part of the hair in one shade. So at the moment it's obviously on a very, very dark black from the jumper, so I'm going to flip it to just the stroke. I'm going to use the eyedropper, and I'm going to just pick up a dark brown shade that's in the hair. The only other bit we have is this bit, which is a bit darker pink area. So again, with the pencil tool, I'm going to draw in the background, and because I've left my layers there, it's adding the layers where I just left it, so it's already arranging them like behind each other. Now I'm going to try and do the facial features. So First of all, the eyebrows. So what I'm going to do is actually duplicate the layer that Sophie's on, the image layer. So I'm going to click this image here, I'm going to copy it, which is there, and I'm going to paste it in this layer here, sort of like halfway up above the coloured layers. So I'm going to click into here and paste, and I want it underneath these facial feature parts so I can pick up the colours, but I'll put the image back to full opacity so I can select the right colours. So if we go to the eyebrows, I'm gonna use the selection tool, let's get rid of that, and I want to select both of them. I'm gonna pick up a dark brown shade. It's a little bit too red toned for me, so let's add some yellow to it. That'll do. And then a fun trick that we can do might work. I've not tried this on the iPad, but we'll give it a go. Sometimes I do draw in individual eyebrow hairs, but because I'm feeling lazy today, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the gradient tool. So I'm just going to select one of the eyebrows. I'm going to go into the colour palette. I am going to go to gradient, and I'm going to use the freeform gradient tool. On one end, I want it dark brown, and then on the end near the nose, I want it dark brown but like lower opacity. Firstly, I need to eyedropper that dark brown. Then I'm going to click on this colour here, and I'm going to lower the opacity. I'm going to have it like pretty low, and then I think I'm going to add in another point of colour here, so it gradually gets lighter. So if I just come off of that and turn off the layer that's Sophie, you can see that it sort of like fades out. Right, now the eyes. So I'm going to turn on the layer that Sophie's on again, and I'm just going to draw underneath her eyes, so the lower lash line. Oh my god, do you know the stroke thing when I was like fussing because I can't taper the strokes like for these bits? That's what I do for the eyelashes. I guess I'm going to have to draw the eyelashes like individually. That's going to be annoying. It's really frustrating me that I can't find it. I tried to Google it, but because it's quite a new software, there wasn't many options. Let's do the eyeliner. I'm going to select the eyeliner, then I think I'm just going to put it on pure black, to be fair. Flip it to full and put it on pure black. We want the eyeliner in front of the iris layer, so I'm just going to drag till it's in front. And then same with this one, so I guess we can copy appearance. So copy appearance, paste appearance, and again drag that in front. Then for the eyes, again eyedropper. So if I make the outline shade of the iris darker, you can see that it's got a bit of a darker outline. It just means it looks more like an eyeball. Alright, so these bits I want in a dark skin tone shade. So again, I'm just going to select them all like that. And I guess I'm going to have to eyedropper it that kind of shade. I don't know. The nose one is probably too dark, but I'll leave it at that for now. And then let's make the nose almost black. So I'll put it on black to begin with, and then just drag this slider up a little bit like that. And then the lips. I mean, it still looks scary, but less scary. I feel like we're making progress. This is definitely slower than it would be to do on my computer, but what can you expect, really? All right, so one thing I've noticed, I need to erase this little part here. So eraser tool, I'm not sure how big this tool is set, just to get rid of that a little bit. We need the whites of the eyes, and we need the lower lash line, which I was supposed to do earlier and I didn't. Okay, so I do need to draw in the tear duct area, but we'll do that in a little bit. Let's turn off the image of Sophie again. That skin tone definitely needs changing, but I mean, it's getting there. I feel like this is very similar to when I first ever drew a vector illustration on my computer, so I guess it's all a bit of a learning curve. My iPad is actually only at 5% battery right now, so I'm gonna have to pause this video for a second, but whilst we wait, I thought I would mention this week's sponsor. You guys know by now that I absolutely love Skillshare, I have raved about them and loved them for a long old time, and I've recently been watching this video about Adobe Illustrator on the iPad, and hopefully this helps me in creating a sleek and professional looking themed illustration moving forwards. And if Illustrator isn't your thing, they have so many different classes on a whole wide range of subjects, including graphic design, illustration, entrepreneurships. There are literal endless amounts of knowledge that you can soak up through Skillshare. So the wonderful people over at Skillshare have actually given me a link where you can get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. So for a limited time only, you can click that link in my description, get yourself a free trial, and then if you do decide to sign up to Skillshare, it's super affordable because an annual subscription is just from £7 a month. If you're up for learning some new things, then Skillshare is the place for you. Many hours have passed and it's now dark outside. I don't know if you can tell by this lighting, but my iPad is finally charged. Let's move on to adding a few shadows. Actually, probably should do the hand, shouldn't I? That'll do for now. It's very dark in comparison to her face, but we've established that the face isn't the right colour either. Cool, and then we need a little bit of colour there. Alright, so straight up, this skin tone isn't right. I would like to see a really big swatch of the colour. Do you know, like if I was just changing the line colour, I can't really see the colours changing. At this point, because I'm changing the face, it works okay because obviously I can physically see it changing. But if I was changing something quite small, there's no real colour example. Like this one isn't changing. So where is the example of the colour? So I'm going to put the image of Sophie back on the top. So now I'm going to draw in where the shadows and highlights are likely to be. So I'm going to speed this up because this video is going to be hours long if not. But basically the plan is I'm going to shadow under her jawline. So you can see here the jaw. She doesn't have much shadow on her face. There's no like harsh lines because obviously she's using like either a softbox or a ring light. Actually, she's using a ring light. You can see the reflection in her eyes. So I'm going to do a bit of a contour on her cheeks and around her hairline. I'll just either use the blob brush tool or probably the pencil tool. I prefer that over the pen tool, to be honest. I feel like the pen tool is a lot more fluid on my computer. And then I'll do the same for the highlights. So where there's highlights, so the tip of her nose, the corner, inner of her eyelid, her eyes themselves, her lips, and then we'll come back and do the jewellery and the hair. Just pausing the time lapse for a second, I've just started doing this bit of the hair where I've added the root colour, and I used a clipping mask, so I thought I would show you how to do it on Illustrator for the iPad. So I'm just going to draw in her hair. So to do that, I'm going to turn back on the original image in the layers panel. I'm going to go to the pencil tool, which I've discovered is my new favourite, and I'm just going to create like zigzaggy lines effectively where her roots will be. So it's going to be cartoon style, so it doesn't really matter how neat it is, and I can always adjust them. But yeah, here are my rough zigzags to show the roots. I'm going to change it to fill and then turn off that image layer again. The fill is still on that same root colour as before, so that's good. Then I'm going to click on the hair colour. Oops. Go to the selection tool first, click on the hair colour, and I want to copy this. So I can just click this button here to duplicate it, and it's just copied it directly in front. Then I want to drag that copied piece of hair to the top of my artboard like so, and then I'm going to select both the hair part, hold shift, and the zigzag part that I made, and I'm going to go over here, click this button here and select make clipping mask. So now it's sort of cookie cutted it out, and because we duplicated that pink hair, although it's got rid of it, when I get rid of this image you can still see that the pink is behind it. So all I need to do now is drag this back down to the right part of the image so it's underneath the hand section like so, and there we have some pretty rough looking roots. Let's continue with the time lapse. Okay, I'm done. I could spend ages perfecting this. In fact, let's just close the screen and you can see the finished drawing on this screen. But yeah, I could spend ages sitting and perfecting this, but this isn't coming naturally to me at all. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I'm expecting it to be like Illustrator, and it is in many ways but also isn't, so it's kind of hard to get the hang of it, and I feel like throwing myself right in there and doing a vector portrait is probably quite difficult, and like I said at the beginning, I haven't done one for a while, so I'm very much out of practice. So that's my attempt at doing a vector illustration or vector portrait with Adobe Illustrator for the iPad. I'm thinking maybe next time I'll do like a scene illustration. It is difficult though, there are a few things missing in there, so it'll be interesting to see how and if Adobe update it as it gets used more. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again to this week's sponsor, Skillshare. Don't forget to check them out in the description below, and I'll see you soon for the next video. Bye!